Order the regular meeting of the Sacramento County Sanitation District, the Sacramento Area Sewer District, and the Financing Authority for May 10th, 2023. Look for a roll call, please.
Good morning, directors. Members Daniels or Karpinski-Costa?
Present. I'm
Desmond?
not Daniels.
Here.
Frost? Here. Hume?
Here.
Kaplan?
Here.
Kennedy?
Here.
Loloe?
Here.
Maple?
Here.
Orozco?
Orozco here.
Orozco, thank you, and my apology. Robles?
Here.
Cerna?
Here.
And Swin?
Here? Soon, yes.
Soon, thank you. Valenzuela?
Here.
Vang? Villegas?
Here.
And then let the record reflect that you do have a quorum. Chair Sander will be here soon, and I did get a note that Member Aquino will be absent today.
Great, thank you. And in order to make him feel welcomed for his diminutive name tag, would you please join Director Villegas in the Pledge of Allegiance?
That's funny.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Vice Chair Hume, I have a couple of announcements to read.
That'd be great.
Thank you. This meeting of the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and Sacramento Area Sewer District is being broadcast live on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel, on the Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T Uverse cable systems. This meeting is closed captioned and is live streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting will replay Sunday, May 14th at 9 a.m. on Channel 14. This meeting can also be viewed at youtube.com/Metro Cable 14. In accordance with Government Code 54952.3, compensation for meetings of these legislative bodies is required to be verbally disclosed. The amount of $100 will be paid for each member participating today as a member of the Sacramento County Regional Sanitation District, and the amount of $100 will be paid for each board member participating today as a member of the Sacramento Area Sewer District. Compensation for Sacramento County supervisors and City of Sacramento council members is paid to the county and city respectively, and to partially offset the cost of those governments. Compensation for other board members is delivered directly to those individuals. The Board of Directors fosters public engagement during the meeting and encourages public participation, civility, and use of courteous language. The board does not condone the use of profanity, vulgar language, gestures, or other inappropriate behavior, including personal attacks or threats directed towards any meeting participant. Each speaker will be given 2 minutes to make a public comment and are limited to making one comment per agenda item or off-agenda matter. And please be mindful of the comment procedures to avoid being interrupted or disconnected while making your comment. To make a comment in person, please fill out a speaker request form and hand it to clerk staff. When the chair opens public comments, your name will be called, and please come to the podium to make your comment. To make a comment by phone, dial 916-875-2501 and follow the prompts to leave a message. Clerk staff will call and transfer each caller into the meeting. You may also send written comments by email to boardclerk@saccounty.gov, and your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record. And if you need an accommodation pursuant to the Americans with Disabilities Act or for medical or other reasons, please see clerk staff for assistance or contact the clerk's office at 916-874-5451 or by email at boardclerk@saccounty.gov. Thank you in advance for your courtesy and understanding of the meeting procedures.
Okay, thank you. And I see the chair imminently approaching. And so as he approaches, we'll go ahead and begin with Section 1, acting as the County Sanitation District Financing Authority and the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District.
So for item number 1, you are adopting the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and the Sacramento County Sanitation District's Financing Authority fiscal year 2023-24 final budgets.
Good morning and welcome, Chair Sander. Good morning, Board. This is quite a full group we've got here. We're going to have to start worrying about chairs if we get any less absences than this. Today's budget item, this is for the regional SAN budget. This budget was introduced on April 12th, and we haven't made any substantial changes since then. Just a real quick summary, there is a $264 million operating budget in front of you that includes an increase of 13.4%, and that's really increases across the board, but in particular, chemicals is the one that really came to the forefront, as you're well aware. The capital budget is just over $368 million. That's an increase of $135 million. It is, again, due to the inflation across the board of construction project costs, but also in particular, the harvest water program is ramping up, and we're going to be starting construction. So you're going to see an increase in the capital as that ramps up and then back down. There are no rate increases proposed this fiscal year. And we are looking basically for a recommendation to approve, or to a direction to approve the staff recommendations and approve the fiscal year 23-24 budget.
All right, any questions from board members? Seeing none, we're open for a motion.
Move approval, Frost. Second, Sue.
We do not have any public comment on this item, correct?
We do not have any public comments, and if you can allow me to just check one other place. We do not have any public comments.
Okay, roll call, please.
Members Karpinski-Costa,
Yes.
Desmond,
Aye.
Frost,
Yes.
Hume,
Aye.
Kaplan,
Aye.
Kennedy, Loloe, Maple,
Aye.
Orozco,
Aye.
Robles,
Aye.
Cerna,
Aye.
Soon,
Aye.
Valenzuela,
Yes.
Villegas,
Aye.
and Sander.
Aye.
That's a unanimous vote with those members present.
All right, that brings us on to our next item.
For item number 2, you are also acting as the Sacramento County Sanitation District's financing authority in the Sacramento Area Sewer District. Adopt the Sacramento Area Sewer District and the Sacramento County Sanitation District's financing authority fiscal year 2023-24 final budgets.
Well, once again, a very similar story. This is the SAC sewer budget. It was introduced on April 12th, and again, we haven't made any significant changes. I do want to note you actually have a copy of the budget at your chair. There was a column missing in the capital projects. It's, I think it's page 24, but the capital projects are missing their individual budget amounts. The dollar total at the bottom is correct, but those were missing in the original distribution. So we just gave you that in case you needed to reference it. It's 146 million plus operating budget. That's an increase of 9.6% this year. And again, it's really across the board inflation, both on labor and then also services and supplies. The capital budget is a $36 million plus capital budget. That's a decrease of $4 million. And although overall our construction projects continue to increase in cost, this one is just the natural variability of the projects. Harvest water's ramping up on the regional sand side. A large project is rolling off on the SAC sewer side, and that's the Highlands Sewer Rehabilitation Project. And so that resulted in a decrease of $4 million on the capital budget. And with that, I'm looking for a motion to approve the staff recommendations to approve our budgets for fiscal year 23-24.
If there's no public comment, I'll go ahead and make that motion.
We do not have any public comments.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
And was the second from
Loloe?
Mr. Loloe? Okay, thank you. Members Karpinski-Costa,
Yes.
Desmond,
Aye.
Frost, Hume,
Aye.
Kaplan,
Aye.
Kennedy, Loloe,
Aye.
Maple,
Aye.
Orozco. Okay. Robles.
Aye.
Cerna.
Aye.
Soon.
Aye.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Vang. Villegas.
Aye.
And Sander.
Aye.
And that's a unanimous vote with those members present.
All right, that brings us on to item number 3.
For item number 3, you're acting as the Sacramento County Sanitation District's financing authority and the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and the Sacramento Area Sewer District. execution and delivery of an ambulatory supplement to the master installment purchase contract for the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and for the Sacramento Area Sewer District, and certain other related actions.
And a mandatory supplement. I like that. All right, staff report.
There's
Anything?
no staff report.
I'll move consent.
No questions on this item? All right, very good. Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Maple seconds. Got that. All right. Any public comment on this item?
No public comments.
Very good. Roll call, please.
Okay, Karpinski Costa.
Yes.
Desmond. Frost.
Aye.
Hume.
Aye.
Kaplan.
Aye.
Kennedy. Laloe. Maple.
Aye.
Orozco.
Aye.
Robles. Serna.
Aye.
Soon.
Aye.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Villegas.
Aye.
Sander.
Aye.
Unanimous vote with those members present. And I'm sorry, I'll go on record that that was a consent matter, or was it not? No, it was a separate matter. Okay, for now, you're acting as the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation Districts for your consent matters, items 4 through 6.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Kaplan.
Thank you.
Any questions from the board? Seeing none, roll call.
Karpinski Costa.
Yes.
Desmond. Frost.
Aye.
Hume.
Here. I
Kaplan.
mean, aye.
Aye.
Kaplan.
Now it's infectious.
Kennedy. Laloe. Maple.
Aye.
Orozco.
Aye.
Robles. Serna.
Aye.
Soon.
Aye.
And Valenzuela.
Yes.
Villegas.
Aye.
Sander.
Aye.
Unanimous vote with those members present. May I ask who made the second?
Villegas over here.
Okay, thank you. All right.
That takes us to item number 7.
Item number 7, you're acting as the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District. This is a receive and update on the biosolids management plan, and there is a PowerPoint for this item.
Which we have in front of us. Welcome.
Morning, Chair, members of the board. Thank you. I'm Steve Nabozic, and I'll be presenting information on the biosolids management program today. I need about 10 minutes of your time this morning on the formal presentation to kind of walk you through our process of what we've been working on. And I'm open for questions during or after. For today's discussion, we thought it would be good to start with an overview of our solids process. Then I'll be providing background on our biosolids recycling facility. I'll share the results of our biosolids recycling alternatives study, and then close out with recommendations and next steps. So when wastewater comes into the plant, the liquid portion's treated and discharged to the river, while the solids are separated out at various points. Most of them settle out in the primary sedimentation tanks, which are shown in blue. They're also screened and settled out of the B&R and secondary sedimentation tanks, shown in green. All the solids are then sent to the digesters for treatment, where they're broken down and stabilized, and it's shown in the red. And after digestion, about 75% of the biosolids are sent to our solid storage basins, which are shown in yellow. And those basins act as a wide spot in the line, and they're providing the storage that we need until the solids are harvested in summer months for final disposal onto the line dedicated land disposal units. And those are those plots of land at the receiving end of the yellow arrows that you can see on the figure. The remaining 25% of our biosolids from the digesters go to the biosolids recycling facility. That's shown with the purple box. That's where the recycling happens. And just to differentiate on the quality of biosolids, the biosolids coming out of the digesters are referred to as Class B. They still contain pathogens, so there are use restrictions. So our ability to dispose on site is really a big benefit for that. Most agencies are hauling those off to sites that take the restricted materials. Biosolids coming out of the BRF are Class A biosolids, all pathogens removed, unrestricted reuse. So as far as some background, the BRF is a public-private partnership that was initiated in 2002. We pay Synagro a capital and operational component for the processing of the solids, and they're responsible for all aspects of the operation. We produce 7,300 dry tons of Class A biosolids annually, and those are beneficially reused as fertilizer at the Silva Valley Farms, which is local. The contract expires in December of 2024. And with that in mind, we updated your board on the biosolids management program back in January of 2020. And we were focused on our future recycling efforts and how that might play out. One of the items that we discussed in detail with your board at that time was the higher cost of recycling biosolids versus on-site disposal. It's on the order of $900 a dry ton for recycling efforts, where what we do on site is about $150 a dry ton. So significant cost difference. But after that discussion, your board directed staff to update the management plan and gave us the following feedback. First was to continue recycling, balance cost with environment, recognize evolving regulations, and report back findings, and that's why we're here today. So with the direction from your board, we kicked off the study. We started by evaluating performance and capacity of the existing systems. We used that information with flow and load projections and consideration of existing and future regulations to build a long list of alternatives. Then we screened it was a pretty long list. I think we were up almost to 30. We screened those down with non-discretionary pass-fail criteria, and the most viable alternatives passed through to the detailed evaluation. We evaluated both on financial, and that's life cycle costs through 2050, and non-financial criteria resulted in a recommended alternative, and we'll be sharing that with you shortly. So as we moved into the detailed evaluation, we broke things down into two areas. We considered digestion alternatives and recycling alternatives. We considered those separately. It just made sense for the study. The digestion alternatives we considered were mesophilic anaerobic digestion. I'll be referring to that as MAD, recuperative thickening, and thermal hydrolysis. MAD is what we do today. It's our current business practice. So it's considered our baseline. And recuperative thickening and thermal hydrolysis, they're just variations of our current digestion practice. And the goal is to it's to expand the capacity. They both use different ways to do that, but you're looking to expand capacity and avoid building a digester sooner. We looked at 4 recycling alternatives. All of them, I'm not going to go into detail on the technologies, but all of them use dewatering as a first step out of our digesters. All of them have a thermal component and for processing and treatment, and it's that thermal component that varies as you go through these. They all consider trucking of the final product to its endpoint, and all result in a Class A unrestricted product for reuse. The BRF is our baseline alternative. It's where the processing will occur on site with third-party ownership and operation. We also looked at thermal chemical hydrolysis. That consists of hauling the dewatered cake off-site for processing. We looked at solar drying, which requires new facilities on site that would be owned and operated by Regional San. And the last one we looked at was our current biosolids recycling facility with an add-on of pyrolysis, and that's our advanced thermal treatment alternative that addresses the potential future regulations for PFAS. And I can try to give you the scientific pronunciation of that, but I don't think it'd be appreciated. In regards to the recycling scenarios, we took that direction from your board to continue recycling. And for our evaluation, we set our baseline recycling objective at 25%, which is what we do now, but we also considered 50 and 100%. So this is where we start getting into the good stuff. This slide shows the financial results of the evaluation at 25%, at the 25% recycling scenario in life cycle costs. The costs presented are conceptual, they're planning level costs, and I think everyone's aware they're really useful tools to make comparisons across alternatives, but we shouldn't be grabbing these numbers and throwing them into our final budget. But a good comparative tools. So when we look at the table, let's start in the upper left at MAD and BRF. Again, that is our baseline alternative. It's the one that's highlighted. It's what we do today, and it's also the lowest life cycle cost alternative. As you move across the row through the other post-digestion alternatives, you just see a comparative increase in cost. And then as you drop down the rows, those are the different digestion alternatives that we considered in the study. And we looked at those because we were initially thinking with the capital cost of building a new digester that if we could do some optimization, those might be more cost-effective solutions on our digestion, but that ended up not being the case. So from a financial standpoint, our current solids operations are the low-cost alternative. And this pattern is duplicated at 50 and 100%. The tables look just like this, different numbers. We also considered a number of non-financial factors when we were going through the evaluation. This list is not all-inclusive, but so there are some others, but these are the ones that kind of were pretty important to the study. Permitting and regulatory compliance and the burden on staff post-construction. Air emissions, that's greenhouse gas and toxic air emissions. The greenhouse gas emissions were actually quantified. Impact on worker safety, community compatibility, and flexibility to meet future regulations. And when doing that, when going through the non-financial criteria, the BRF, again, ranked highest of all the alternatives. So with that, we have some pretty non-thrilling recommendations. Pretty much continue doing what we're doing. We made a good, the board 20 years ago, your board 20 years ago made a good decision. We want to continue recycling biosolids at the current level. We think 25% is the appropriate level of recycling. It meets our current service level. It provides diversification in our solids program, and it keeps costs at a manageable level. We also want to continue the partnership with Synagro, continue producing a Class A product. The BRF is the lowest cost resource recovery option and has the highest non-financial score. We also, and as we're over the next years, as this project is implemented or continues, we want to continue to monitor the regulatory environment for PFAS, organics diversion related requirements, as well as other emerging issues. Overall, I think we feel that this alternative is a good balance between cost and the environment. It provides flexibility for increasing recycling in the future, and it reinforces our environmental stewardship value of practicing green business decisions and implementing sustainable practices. So the next steps would be to finalize the biosolids management plan, initiate negotiations with Synagro to extend the contract for biosolids recycling, and bring that agreement back to your board before December of 2024. And in regards to what your board is being asked to do today, it's direct staff to begin negotiations with Synagro to amend the biosolids contract. And I can take any questions.
All right, questions from the board. Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you, Chair. Initiate negotiations with Synagro to extend the contract for biosolids recycling. How many renewals are in the original contract, and why aren't we doing an RFP to see what else is out there?
It's a good question. We've checked with council, and we have the ability to amend this contract. Cinegro's in a really unique situation to respond to this. They've owned and operated that facility for 20 years now, and they are really the best and well positioned to continue doing that. We've been very happy with our relationship with Cinegro, and we don't really see a reason, unless it's your board's desire, to do that. We do think we have a great partnership outlined with what we're doing right now.
Yeah, and I'm not being critical of Cinegro at all. I just, when you have a 20-year relationship, sometimes it's beneficial to go out and find out if there's another partner out there that for another, 20 years is a long time. Not disregarding your comment. Appreciate that.
I didn't go over it in the formal presentation. We are not looking to extend for 20 years right now. We're thinking at the far end, or the long-term end, would be closer to 10 years, because there are so many developing regulations right now. We think this positions us really good to react to those, but we don't want to overcommit. We want to kind of see what happens over the next 5 years and be able to adjust 10 years out.
And I'm not saying I hate that idea. I'm just saying that, since we have been in this relationship, there's probably, because of technology has evolved, there's probably a number of potential partners out there, in addition to Cinegro, that I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I think is worth looking at. That's all.
Mr. Hume.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, Steve, thank you for obviously there were a lot of variables and analysis behind this process that you were able to put into a very succinct presentation, so I appreciate that. And I want to ask a question about the table that you put together regarding the different options. I think this board has expressed willingness in the past, and I do appreciate that in one of your filters or sieves was financial and non-financial consideration. But I think this board in the past has expressed a willingness to be a tip of the spear regarding emerging technology in order to advance best practices. And so my question on the third column there, BRF and pyrolysis, obviously that and means it's an additive technique than just BRF alone. What does pyrolysis add to the equation, or what does it do that's in addition?
It adds extremely high heat, and basically it's not gasification. I think it's operating up at about 1,600 degrees with lack of oxygen, and it's cooking off, for lack of better terms, to the point that air emissions have not even been an issue with the implementation of pyrolysis at other locations. It is newer. It's what the wastewater the wastewater agencies are kind of hanging their hat on as a potential to be able to address PFAS regulations if they become a number in a permit.
And so is that the primary benefit to engaging in that process, is whatever PFAS benefit would come out of it?
I would say our true focus for today, moving forward in the near term, is the first three columns in that table. BRF and pyrolysis is that long-term look to make sure that we have flexibility to adjust to regulations. And pyrolysis does not fit well. It likes an input of a very uniform, homogeneous material. And the thermal chemical hydrolysis, which is off-site, is more in a liquid. It comes out as a liquid format, so that is not a good input for pyrolysis. And then the solar dryer, it just is not a fine homogeneous material like our recycled pellet is. So that's why we've only coupled pyrolysis with BRF. It really is the best alternative for the future regulations we're eyeing.
So that's a process we may be looking at in the future? I'm just trying to figure out what the $60 million life cycle cost buys us.
The $60 million life cycle buys us. We would only come to your board and suggest that alternative if PFAS regulations become a number in our permit, and what it would buy us at that point is compliance.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Mr. Sewell.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Steve, for the presentation. I just want to get a better sense of the sustainability of our facility. So, you know, we're talking about 25% recycling, so 75% end up going through further treatment and end up in our line-dedicated land disposal sites. Have you done or have we done a site life analysis on those line-dedicated land disposal units at the current rate?
We do know that we have an idea of when future lined dedicated land disposal units are needed. I think the next one comes in the mid-2040s. All those are lined. All the leachate, anything that is captured in the liner goes back to our headworks. So we're not impacting groundwater out at the site. And as far as sustainability goes, I don't think we should get too hung up on the Class B and the Class A. It is good that we're putting a Class A unrestricted product out there that local farmers can use for fertilizer. But there's a benefit that we just shouldn't overlook on the practicality and the efficiency of applying these solids on site. We're not doing harm. And our forefathers gave us a great piece of land to be able to operate our system like this. And just think of all the trucks that keeps off the road. You know, there is a lot of trucking involved with those the Class A. All the Class A materials are driving around our area to their final endpoint. It's not only good from an emission standpoint, it's also just good as a community partner to try to alleviate some of that stress in the local roadways. So.
Right, but so after 2040, you need more units, right?
Yes, so that's understood. So if you look at the top DLD on the figure that we're showing,
yeah,
the one to the right, that is a closed DLD right now. That is the next DLD that we would line. That plot of the square plot of land that's right to the right of that red arrow pointing up. That is our next DLD that will be lined and constructed for use. And then when you go to the bottom DLD, the plot of land that shows our solar array in it, that is 2 future DLDs. So we have the land space and the capacity to perform this operation for decades to come. When we put that solar array where it's situated right now, we made sure the timing of that lease was so that we could grab that process area back if we needed to. So we were able to do a 25-year solar power purchase agreement. But if process, coming later on, 3 decades from now, if we need to recapture that, we can. So we haven't robbed ourselves of a future solids processing area.
Okay, great. So I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. And then, so for future planning, then might you then consider, this is just from my understanding, a higher recycling scenario when decades from now, right? When we start running out of room here, we might need to do a more higher recycling scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I would say not even decades away. Probably in about 5 or 6 years, if any of you are still on the board, we'd be coming back to kind of gear up for the expiration of the contract that we're talking about extending right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Maple.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to echo the comments of Director Kennedy. I think it's always a good practice when we can to take a look out and see what else is out there, especially if it's one that's been happening for quite a while. I mean, the answer might be it's still the best, and that'll be reassuring to, I think, all of us. But for me, I'm definitely interested in seeing if there can be an RFP and an ability to look at what else is available. I was also looking at the, kind of non-financial evaluation, and as I look down to the future regulations, obviously we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what, the regulators might do. But, based on your experience and the conversations that are being had, do you think there's a possibility that some of those regulations might be that we need to recycle more faster?
The PFAS regulation could put us in that situation, yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And I just want to say that we will take a look at whatever analysis we've already done on alternatives to Synagro, in other words, another vendor. We can put that information together and do a quick report back to the board on that, so that you have a sense of why we've gone that direction.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Ms. Kaplan?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Dobson. Actually going to request, because I'm sure knowing the thoroughness of our regional SAN and what you guys do and how thorough this presentation is, to really look, is there anybody out there that even qualifies? If so, have we taken a look? If not, something back to the board. I think it's just prudence, because you do have new board members here, and it's always good to just double check. And if it stays the same, great, but just something reasonable to look at. So thank you for following through on that. We know PFAS is coming. As much as what the standard is and the regulations are still up to debate, as we know that is constantly going on. So one of the things, Steve, as you brought up, is we're really going to have to look at, do we need to do BRF expansion? And what is the cost of that capital expansion? I see the forethought of what we can do on site, but have we brought back to the board and looked at, I think it's important that we start looking at that 5-year plan. What is that most appropriate step, if it is BRF and some new emerging technology, or it is the expansion of our current BRF facility, because tighter regulations, higher requirements are coming. So being prepared for it, because you and I both know capital expansion doesn't just happen overnight, and it's a long process. So I think the information that could come back to the board sooner rather than later on just being prepared for what if scenarios, so it's not a surprise when they actually come down, is something that I would be very much interested in, because I think you guys have done an excellent job planning for the expansion of more housing, more waste that needs to be recycled, but it's the unknown of federal regulations and PFAS that I would like to see us start doing a long-term planning for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Any public comment?
Do not have any public comments.
All right. Well, that was a really great report, really thorough. I appreciate it. I think you mentioned that BRF and pyrolysis are the likely PFAS pathway. So that's sort of the pre-identified one, we think, not knowing exactly what sort of standards or regulations might be applied.
That is correct. We know enough about PFAS and the numbers that they're considering and the realness of it that it wouldn't be wise to not include it in the table.
So we're most likely at some point looking at the column on the right as the alternative.
Echo water to the solids.
All right. Very good. Thank you very much.
Keep in mind the PFAS, although it's clearly coming, as you've said, there's a lot of different ways to address it, and it can be addressed upstream of us. We're hoping for that alternative.
All right, we're going to move on to item number 8.
For item number 8, you're acting as Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District. This is a public hearing, adopt impact fee adjustments and amendments to the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District Consolidated Ordinance. And you continued this action from April 12th.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. So last month on the 12th, your board approved introducing ordinance changes for regional SANS ordinance, which included a 5-year impact fee schedule and an update to the sewer construction cost table, and also changing the name from SASD to SAC Sewer throughout. Since then, we got some feedback and a letter from the North State Building Industry Association, and the regional SAN has provided a response to that letter, and both are included in the board package. We are working in parallel with the BIA on those concerns that they brought forward. I believe they also submitted a comment letter last night or yesterday. We're on the same page with moving forward with the ordinance adoption, which a highlight of that is reduce the impact fee or the infill impact fees by about 10%. And so we're going to continue on discussions with the BIA in parallel to address those 2 pointed concerns that they have. So I do want to point out in the table 1 on the board package itself, it does say it's $1 per ESD, and that does apply to single family and commercial, but for the multifamily and age restricted, it is age restricted. It is dollars per unit. It is correct in the ordinance itself, so approving that this item today works out with so. If ordinance changes are approved today, they'll go into effect July 9th this year. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Chair Sander so you can open for public comment and then close if you approve and hopefully move this item forward.
All right, so this is a public hearing, so I will open that public hearing and ask for public comment. We have this card from, is it Chris Nonan? Norm.
Yeah.
Welcome, Chris.
Chris Norm, North State BIA. Thank you, Chair and members of the board. It's the first time I've actually been to this board. I've talked to a lot of you at your at the Board of Soups or other places, but no, we've submitted letters and we've been in communication with your staff on this item, and obviously the fee loads are of central concern for us. Some of you know that we did a fee study several years ago, a comprehensive independent study that showed that buildings, new housing construction in this region pays about $40,000 more in fees than other comparable areas around the state. So since then, we've done very detailed analysis work on every single nexus study that comes across our desk, and we find weaknesses and work with the staff to try to correct those things. So we identified 2 in this case in which you have essentially new construction being charged to offset the fees for affordable housing, which are being waived for those affordable housing units. And then the second one was that it seems that there's fund balances that aren't attributable to specific projects. And the program actually asks for new construction to pay into fund balances that would be carried over for, I guess, security or future planning. So what we're asking for really is tethered to state law, requiring that these projects that are being charged for new construction are actually going for expansion of capacity. So not to get too detailed, but we're going to continue to work with the staff and work through these issues and make sure that we have everything tied down correctly under the law, and we may be back, hopefully in a collaborative way to adjust some things in a few weeks. So, but we have a good relationship, and it's important to us to do that. So I think that's really my comments right now. We don't mind you passing an ordinance in structure with the understanding that we might have to make some modifications later. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Chris. Any other public comment?
We do not have any other comments.
All right, I will close the public hearing. Any board member comments or questions? All right, we have an action in front of us. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Directors Karpinski Costa,
Yes.
Desmond.
Aye.
Frost. Hume.
Aye.
Kaplan.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Laloe.
Aye.
Maple.
Aye.
Orozco.
Aye.
Robles.
Aye.
Cerna.
Aye.
Soon.
Aye.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Villegas.
Aye.
And Sander.
Aye.
And that's a unanimous vote with those members present.
All right, that takes us on to item number 9.
You are acting as the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and the Sacramento Area Sewer District. This is input on establishment of an infill development board committee.
Good morning, Chair. This item was suggested by Chair Sander a few meetings back, and so we brought this forward. There's a little bit of input we would like from the staff perspective before we move forward to make sure that we have sort of the structure and the purpose of this committee, and then we can go back and formulate a recommendation for that committee and bring it forward. So what we're looking for is to get clarity on the purpose of this. Obviously, infill development is the topic, But one of the things we're wondering about is how internal this is to regional SAN and what regional SAN and Sac Sewer can do for infill development, or if it's expected to be more outward facing to other agencies. And I mean, our perspective is, I think that's more of like a SACOG or an organization like that, more of their focus, but we want to get clarity on that. And then just a little bit on that sort of flows to then what type of a committee would this be? Does it have a relatively short lifespan where we go from start to finish, or is it just an ongoing, a standing committee? And then a little bit on just how many representatives we think we would want. So this really, I'm going to turn it back over to Chair Sander to get some input, and then we can formulate a recommendation from that.
Sure. Thank you, Christoph. This topic has come up a couple of times, maybe 3 times over the past 2 years, with discussions about the importance of our fee structure with regard to infill development. And a number of hands have gone up here saying we're interested in pursuing this at a couple of levels. And so I suggested, because there's an ongoing effort at SACOG that we have participated in, and we also have some internal policies that are helpful, but we haven't really taken a dive internally in this organization to figure out what's the next step for us. If we wanted to go further with regard to infill, what are the additional steps that we could take as an agency to support infill development and to knock down some of those barriers that make it so difficult? So I think the answer to your question, Christoph, would be certainly it's internal looking in that respect. But also it's a little bit external in the sense that we need to collaborate as fully as we can with SACOG and our other partners in the region to sort of work on these goals as a region. And I think you are correct, SACOG is likely the lead agency in that sort of an effort, but obviously we would be a big part of that. Are there other board member comments on this? Mr. Sewin.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Thank you for bringing this up. I wholeheartedly agree with this effort, and I agree that a regional organization like SACOG, and I'm glad Chair Kennedy's here as well, should take the lead on it. We're just one, the sewer fees are just one component of the fee structure, as everybody here knows. So us being part of a more regional effort that can be more comprehensive at a SACOG, I think is appropriate. And then I'll just echo your sentiments. Getting our sanitation district staff to dive deeper in terms of looking for savings and abilities to reduce funding. And I know this is like a balloon, so we'll have to, likely increase somewhere else. But at least that analysis, that technical analysis by staff, will be helpful to inform the conversation going forward. So I agree, a committee here with staff allocated to a larger effort spearheaded by somebody like SACOG, I think is appropriate. Thank you.
Any other comments? Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you, Chair. Wholeheartedly agree, and we have a number of SACOG members here. I would like to offer to facilitate a meeting with SACOG staff and maybe Director Suen and the chair, as a former chair of SACOG yourself, if that would be appropriate and you'd like me to do that, I'd be glad to do it.
Sure, that would be great.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with everything that's been said. I guess the only other question I have in terms of process, obviously the ad hoc or standing committee, whatever we determine, not everybody can participate. So I wondered just a little more clarity on the actual product, maybe options for the board to consider, because as a subcommittee, there may not be consensus or agreement on what's brought forward. And so at least giving the full board the opportunity to explore, a bite at the apple, so to speak, right? So I would, because it doesn't say that in the staff report, I just would add that as a suggestion.
No, I think that's a great suggestion. I would hope we could do this sort of on a voluntary basis.
Sure.
Unless legal counsel is going to tell us, oh, no, we have to be appropriately distributed, across the different aspects of the organization. But I would view it as ad hoc, not ongoing. And, with some goal of coming back within 6 months or a year with a report, or at least some suggestions about what this agency may do and some reflection on what the region's doing. Any other comments? Okay, Christoph, I think we'll probably come back next time, ask for volunteers on this topic.
Yes. And what are you thinking about in terms of the size of the committee?
It would be based a little bit on interest. I would think
Okay.
3 or 4 board members would probably be the sort of the minimum we would hope for. We
right.
might have 3 or 4 interested parties here already. I think we had more than that the last time we discussed it. At some point, I suppose we might trip into a quorum question, but probably not.
It takes a while to get to.
Yeah, because it's a little bit of a complicated quorum, so yeah, probably not.
Right. Keep in mind, we'll fairly soon be one board with 17 members, so
Right.
it would take 9 to get a quorum there, so we should be pretty good. I don't think we want that big of a committee.
No, that's probably not a committee.
All right.
All
that's-
right, any
that's all
other
we need.
comments? If not, we're going to move on to item number 10.
For item number 10, this is the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and Sacramento Area Sewer District. This is the miscellaneous director and district engineer matters.
All right, just very quickly, our May 24th meeting is canceled, so the next meeting's on June 14th. And I also wanted to just give you a quick reminder, we're looking forward to the celebration event for celebrating the completion of Echo Water and then sort of the groundbreaking or the starting of the Harvest Water project. And so that celebration event's on May 19th. You should have received an invitation to that. And that's all I had.
Now, are we going to cut a giant ribbon, turn a giant valve, drive heavy equipment? That's my personal favorite. Drive heavy equipment?
That's top secret stuff. I don't know. We'll do something fun, I'm sure. And
Blow
we'll
something
make it
up?
safe.
Oh, that's not really sewer-like. All right, very good. That brings us to item number 11, public comment. Oh, please, continue, item 10. Mr.
I
Hume.
just wanted to point out that we need to add another member to our investment committee with the departure of Director Howell. It's a very sexy committee, and I would not like to deny someone else the opportunity of serving on it.
And we do have an item on our investment advisory committee meeting today to discuss that a little bit further, but we did lose Carrie Howell a while back, so.
Okay.
I guess what we're saying is does anyone want to volunteer? That would be fun. You get to meet for a whole nother hour after this meeting. Come on, everybody.
Boy, the volunteer, I can't tell who had their hand up first.
You really sold that one.
All right, would you like a volunteer today? Would that be helpful, or are we going to put that off for a month or a week?
Dinner at that point.
Well, we're surviving with we have 2 board members right now, right, of the committee, and so we're surviving for now. But we were going to again talk about it a little bit.
Very good.
If we have someone that's interested, let me know. Obviously, this meeting is just it's right after this one, so it won't be for another quarter before we need that group together again.
All right, anything else under item 10? If not, we're moving on to public comment, item 11.
We do not have any public comments.
All right, and then item 12.
Item 12, you're acting as the Sacramento Area Sewer District, and this is your consent matter. This is a contract to approve the First Amendment to the agreement with Maven Asset Management to provide Maximo upgrade and support services.
Move approval.
Second.
Any questions on this item? Seeing none, no public comments on this item.
No comments.
Roll call, please.
Okay. Karpinski, Costa Daniels,
Yes.
Desmond.
Aye.
Frost. Hume.
Aye.
Kennedy. Cerna.
Aye.
Soon.
Aye.
And Sander.
Aye.
A unanimous vote with those members present.
That takes us on to item number 13.
Yeah, you're still acting as the Sacramento Area Sewer District. This is a resolution of intention to lien delinquent sewer service charges, set a public hearing for July 12th, 2023, and there is a PowerPoint.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. My name is Randy Wolf, and I'm a accounting manager for Sacramento Area Sewer District. And we come before the board annually to requests the adoption of the resolution of intention regarding the delinquent sewer service charges and to set up a public hearing. This year's public hearing is scheduled for July 12th, 2023 at that board meeting. The property owners that have been affected have been notified, and they have about 2 months to get their accounts in order. They were notified on April 29, 2023. The number of projected preliminary delinquent accounts for the past 5 years is shown on attachment A there, and you see that it's trending upward in the year 2023. We reached out to Cubs, and they said this is consistent across the board for all utilities. The number is about 17,782 accounts, and the delinquent charges amount being approximately 11.3 million. Supervisor Desmond, in the past you had mentioned about requesting information on the percentage of commercial accounts versus residential accounts, and this year that number is consistent in that it's still 2% commercial accounts and 98% delinquent accounts are residential. So today we're requesting the board to take the necessary actions to transfer the delinquent sewer service charges to the property tax bill.
All right. Are there any questions on this item? Any public comment?
No public comments.
Move approval.
All right.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Karpinski Costa.
Yes.
Desmond.
Aye.
Frost. Hume.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Cerna.
Aye.
Soon.
Aye.
And Sander.
Aye.
Unanimous vote with those members present. May I get the first and the second again? Mr. Hume?
Second soon.
Okay, thank you.
All right. That brings us to miscellaneous matters and potentially adjournment. Anything else that should come before us as a body? All right. Seeing none, we are adjourned.